Oh, I can see my friend Mohan Kavri there.
Oh, probably Gio, you can shut video off because that's the thing. Some of the participants probably will be too comfortable. So yeah. All right. So we'll just begin. Uh, Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, depending on your time zone. Uh, so we started TEG last year. There was an outgoing board member, Praveen Malaji, and who decided, to allow me to lead the startup and entrepreneurship special interest group, before which he was leading it. And when I started leading it, I came up with this idea to have these kinds of sessions, but also to create a platform where young entrepreneurs get an opportunity to interact or some kind of mentorship from veteran entrepreneurs like I know we have today with us, Raji with us. So we started with this idea around May, June, and first event we had in July, and this is the 14th event of the Entrepreneurship Gyan TEG. So idea is basically, that's what I was just mentioning, to have a platform where people can collaborate, people can learn, co-learn, relearn some of the stuff, but also mostly for young entrepreneurs because they need a platform to get in touch with, to get started with. So this kind of sessions helps them to connect with veteran entrepreneurs, but also get added to that platform where they can look for such opportunities. So we started with the events. Now we are also coming up with a mentorship kind of a board team, and which can where you can actually reach out to veteran mentors, but also to in-person meetups, hopefully in the near future, where different entrepreneur ecosystems or different chapters, as we have already with ITBA, different alumni can do in-person meetups and be connected, and slowly we are moving towards much more events in the broader understanding of TEG or broader domain of TEG, as we have been calling it. So here we have a veteran speaker. I will just formally introduce him, although all of you already know him. But yeah, as a part of the process, I'll go ahead and introduce him as well. So yeah, let me just do that. So Mr. Raj Nair has over 40 years of experience as a doer manager. So manager is one thing, dual manager is another thing. Entrepreneur, advisor, and mentor. So yeah, you already have a mentor among us, so you know whom to reach out to after the talk ends. He has extensive exposure across functional areas, industries, and countries, not just India, but Asia Pacific, but also globally. So currently, he serves as chairman of Avalon Consulting, ACR Knowledge, and Germinate Solutions. As a strategy consultant, Raj has guided companies in India, the USA, Europe, and the Middle East in developing strategies, aligning them with vision and driving growth in competitive markets. His career includes roles in consumer durables marketing at Murphy, merchant banking at Greenleaf Bank, and founding successful ventures in marketing research, management consulting, and analytics. And obviously, one of them is Avalon Consulting, and that's what you would have seen on the flyer as well. Mr. Nair is a graduate and our own alumni from IIT Bombay, has a business management degree from Ahmedabad and a law degree as well from the University of Mumbai. With this very short introduction, so we can go along, a little bit more, but with this very short introduction, I'll allow Raj to speak, and I'll shut it down from there. So if you have any questions during the session, please post in the chat. I'll take it in the end. And Suna is also there, a co-host with me. Probably we together will take it in the end. There's another co-host, Venu, who hasn't joined yet. He's running a bit late, but he would probably join soon as well, and he'll be there with me in a while. So off to you, Raj. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Viber, for that introduction. And thank you also for making me younger than I am, because you said I've got 40 years of experience after graduation. I graduated from IIT Bombay 53 years ago and from IIM Ahmedabad 51 years ago. So, yeah, thanks a lot for that. But it's been very generous, the introduction. So, good evening to those of you who are joining from India. Good day to those who are living far away to the west of India, like Vaibhav himself. And if there's anyone who's been brave enough and lives far to the east of India, good luck for braving these odd hours to be present at the session. I hope to make it worthwhile for all of you by sticking to some practical insights, which you can actually implement to succeed rather than dabble in any theory. So I had a charmed life till I got into IIT, and I attribute my getting into admission more to luck than anything else, because I know that there are many aspirants who are far better than I was who didn't get in. So I thanked my stars and took charge of my life there and then once I got in, and I didn't look back till today. For me, every day is exciting, even after 53 years of graduation from IIT Bombay. I'm very happy with my life. I don't have to do any work at all to live a good life, but I slog every day. And I have a friend here who knows me very well, who is also a very successful entrepreneur. That's Mohan Kavri. So he must be smiling because he knows how I slog. So I slog because I enjoy, because every moment is exciting. And in addition to all this exciting things from the different kinds of work I do in entrepreneurship, I also have a lot of exciting adventures. Like I've climbed a live volcano in Indonesia. I've climbed a wall of a fort with bare hands and Nike shoes, a Shivaji fort, etc. But that was when I was younger. Now I do less taxing things like doing solo trekking in the forest in Meghalaya or wherever I can, or going down to Antarctica, which I did in March, or going 2 months later to the northern Arctic, not quite near the pole, but pretty close. So these are all exciting things. So when I can blend, if you're an entrepreneur, you can blend work, life, and fun all together. That's the great thing about entrepreneurship. So where do I start? Instead of talking about myself, let me talk about how you can succeed in your journey, irrespective of whether which career path you chose. See, a French polymath called Voltaire often said, if you want to converse with me, first define your terms. This means that you have to start defining success. And defining success is very complicated because success comes in various hues and flavors. And the word means different things to different people. And even for the same person, it means different things at different phases in his or her life. So I'm not going to philosophize on the subject. Instead, I will offer a practical solution. And without being oversimplistic, let me define success as achieving your goals on your own terms and at your own pace. So achieving your goals on your own terms and at your own pace. So you determine what is success for you. It's not for someone else to define your goals, how soon you should achieve them. If you allow someone else to define your goals, be it your spouse or parent or partner or friends, you'll be miserable and frustrated. So keep this as your special property, success, and how you define it. This would apply whether you are an entrepreneur or a salaried professional. So I leave it to you. At the end of the day, I'll leave with you a framework on how to plan for success. If I don't do it, please remind me during the Q&A. So let me start by asking you what certain people have in common, like Satya Nadella, Sakshi Malik, the Olympic wrestler, Ajay Banga, head of World Bank, Alia Bhatt, the late Dr. Kalpana Chawla, the astronaut, Mahendra Singh Dhoni, Sachin Tendulkar, Amir Khan, Dr. Pratap Reddy of Apollo Hospitals fame, Shiv Nadar of HCL, Amitabh Bachchan, Chandrasekhar who runs the Tata Empire, Azim Premji, Uday Kotak, Kiran Mazumdar Shah, Sunil Bharti Mittal, and there are quite a few more. But let's say, what do these people have in common? Anyone want to take a guess? Or maybe because you're mute, maybe I'll answer it myself. I want you to remember these names because I'll come back to them later. So they're all very successful people. What else? They're all self-made. They did not inherit what they're running today. Neither the job which came to them, or the position, or the business. What else? All are non-IITians. What else? All non-engineers. What else? Some had very patchy education. So all of them, one thing you can see is that they all had hard skills, which may or may not require academic brilliance. So one could conclude that hard skills and knowledge do matter, right? Yes, it matters, but is that sufficient? There are so many talented actors who have failed, very talented ones, who appeared in one or two movies and then that's it. So many talented cricketers who didn't go beyond Ranji Trophy or local leagues. So many skilled doctors who didn't become successful, or not very successful, let's say. So many brilliant IIT graduates who didn't go far, but some in the last quartile were pretty successful. Not all of them, but some of them. So it clearly means that there are some other things that matter a lot in addition to knowledge and hard skills. Let's call these additional requirements soft skills for the absence of a better word. Maybe you'll have a better word for it. And I mean, things that go into it would be determination, positive attitude, self-belief, emotional intelligence, mindset. They have mattered all these centuries, but by and large, our education system has not placed adequate emphasis on those factors. Our education system focused on hard skills and knowledge to make students employable. They didn't focus on making students successful. How to find success is left to you, or these days you have coaches and mentors and so on and so forth, which didn't exist in my time. But basically, the education system is there to teach you how to become employable, not to be successful. A lot of people who aspire to graduate from IIT think that IITians are destined to succeed in life. The good news is that it's largely true, but the history of the last 60 or 70 years of IITs show that nobody is destiny's child. IIT is a great launching pad for success, no doubt about that. A great brand, and the conditioning they get by being in the company of some of the finest brains in the country, it helps a lot. Another thing about success is that it doesn't differentiate between IITians and non-IITians. And there are some amazing success stories among non-IITians, as you've just seen from the long list that I rattled out. So one thing is clear, it's not essential to be an IITian to succeed, but it helps a lot. And it's not sufficient to be an IITian to succeed also, whether it's as a salaried professional, or as an entrepreneur. See, there are opportunities for all of us, and there are huge opportunities today, unlike what was there 20 years ago or 40 years ago. But there are two challenges that all of us have to face. The two challenges are change and uncertainty. I'll briefly talk about these two issues before jumping into figuring out how to succeed. The world is changing very rapidly, and we have to also adapt pretty quickly. So if you're 40 years or older, you'd be using only 10% of the knowledge which you acquired at the time of graduation. You acquired the remaining 90% over 2 decades or more through training and experience. If you're successful, whether you're an entrepreneur or a salaried professional, and if you're above 40, your job will require very similar knowledge and skills. And as the CEO or a CXO professional in a company, not an entrepreneur, you have to act and behave like an entrepreneur. You do capital allocation, you look for opportunities, you take some calculated risk, you lay your life on the line, just like an entrepreneur does. So I don't see too much difference between a CXO and an entrepreneur. Of course, if you insist there are significant differences, but there are a lot of things in common. Unlike at the start of a career when you're doing a job, and when someone goes into an entrepreneurship line, at some stage, a lot of commonalities come up. So if you're successful today, whether you're an entrepreneur or a salaried professional, the reason you're successful is largely because of curiosity and the desire to learn new skills. All this was all this change that happened when you, from the time you graduated till you became 40 plus, you took the change in your stride, and that's because you were curious. If you're today in your late 20s or early 30s, you will miss those comforting 2 decades when you can get time to adjust to the different realities that present themselves to you. Because you, in the late 20s and early 30s, will encounter incredible amount of change right away. You'll soon be entering a fascinating world in which you'll be cohabitating with autonomous AI agents at work and at home. Your colleagues will not only be humans, they'll be machines. It's not now, it's not next year, but year after next, you'll see that happening. Okay? And you might or might not believe me. This is very important because what is called the singularity moment is very near. So those who think that, let me first define what singularity moment is. Singularity moment is like in physics, in management, it is when machines become as or more important, more intelligent than human beings. Way back in the year 2000, it was believed that singularity is 90 to 100 years away. 10 years later, in 2010, they felt it would come by about 2075. Another 10 years later, that is 2020, it suddenly was expected to come around 2050. So we're only 30 years away in 2020. Now, it is expected that machines may become more capable than human beings at most things, if not all things, by 2028. I repeat, 2028. Okay, so imagine what changes can happen over the next 4 years if on some things, machines are going to be better than us, and on some things, it will take a little longer, maybe 2030, 2032. But there's no escape from the fact that we're going to live in another world. Whether you're 50 or 70 or 60 or 30, it's a new world. And so the next 4 years will be exciting in many senses, and in some senses, unnerving. But for people like you, who have the backing of tremendous kind of education, it shouldn't be a problem. The advent of generative AI and GPU chips is going to change the workplace completely, whether you're in academia or in research or in manufacturing or in IT or in management or in government or whatever you're trying to pursue. It's going to come and stand in front of you, these kind of changes. So today's world and tomorrow's world are going to be different. By the way, at IIT BAA, there's a short course on AI in October. It's an AI not for IT professionals, but AI for business professionals. I'm not on a commission to promote that particular course, but I'm just saying it's useful if you want to understand more about it. But every business person and every entrepreneur needs to understand what AI can do for them and how they can use AI to their advantage as your slave rather than become enslaved by it. So there's going to be a huge change. So that's the first thing I want to talk about. The second thing is that life today is also uncertain and very unpredictable. If you take your eyes off the ball for a short time, life can hoist you up to unthinkable heights and it can drop you from that height all of a sudden. Take the case of what happened to the CEO of DBS Bank of Singapore. Gupta, who converted that obscure bank into the world's best bank just a few years ago and was a global celebrity in the financial services sector. Called to give a talk here, give advice there, join this board, join that board. But now he's been told to step down all of a sudden. Why? because there were 3 major IT crashes in the past year, and he did not do enough to prevent that or to correct after the first time. So as the boss, his head had to roll. Likewise, if you're an entrepreneur and you got funded by a venture capital or private equity firm, your head will also roll. So don't think that it's yours. It's not like a family business anymore. Of course, you might be setting up a business without with IPO money or with your own money or your family money. In that case, it may not happen. But by and large, I'm saying accountability is going to be high, and you can't take your eyes off the ball and the world is so uncertain. Like I invested in a medtech startup, which is slowly perfecting the device. Really good. They had VC funding secure for the next 10 months, but all the papers are signed. 4 weeks ago, the VC developed cold feet and pulled a plug. They'd invested 3 crores and the balance was supposed to come on the 1st of September. But on 31st August, they said, sorry, we're not investing. We don't mind if the 3 crores have gone, but no more. The company folded up last week. Life today is very uncertain. No one can distinguish. I mean, no one can predict, but no one can extinguish that light inside you unless you allow it to happen. So that it's not as if you're helpless. Hence, it's better to acknowledge and internalize change and uncertainty. The earlier we accept them as our friends, the faster we will get on a journey of success and a very happy life. So allow me to explain with a story. I recently got caught in a storm in the Arctic Sea, not very far from the North Pole. The winds were howling at 93 kilometers per hour, and the waves, 23 feet high waves, were lashing at my small ship. This was an expedition boat. It's not a huge cruise ship. So for the next 30 hours, one had to hold on to railings to prevent falling. And at lunch on the first day, after lunch on the first day, I sat down with the captain, who was cool as a cucumber. Even as I was talking to him, beer was spilling from our mugs. He explained to me that the storm was unexpected, but if one spots the storm on the radar early enough, action can be taken. So he said you can correctly navigate the ship well, and there's no danger except for some broken crockery. If you cannot take a detour and avoid the storm, which is approaching you, he said the best way is to go straight into the storm and slice through it. Or if the storm is chasing you, as was the case in our case, so just let it chase you and move. Just keep moving the direction of the storm. Avoid getting hit from the side. That's true in life also. So the point he made was that one has to align the ship in the direction of the storm and not let it hit you sideways, in which case the ship could fall on one side. In our case, the storm was chasing from behind at 4 times the speed. We were smart enough to align it so well that we actually saved time and saved fuel. Of course, the majority, the people on board were lying in bed, puking, because it was really, really rocking. But I'm just saying, if massive changes are happening, stay alert and be prepared with a solution. So life's going to be like that. You'll not be able to avoid the singularity moment, but you could be aligned with it. So what will it take to succeed in 2025 and beyond will be different from what was required before COVID. All kinds of digital technologies which are not expected or which were expected in due course, rushed in 5 years too early or 6 years too early. That has changed so many things. And you know this. You probably didn't know that the singularity moment is just 4 or 5 years away. I've learned many lessons in life, but I'll share only a few because I'm conscious of the limited time allotted to me. These lessons will help you to align in any storm and change any other change in the environment, whether it is uncertainty or no uncertainty. Some of these lessons are best told through real life stories. And the best thing is that none of them require hard skills. But you should also understand that soft skills are hard to hone and polish. Okay? So I'll talk about 5 things that you need to do to ensure success. I'm telling you, it'll work like magic. The first is a strong inner desire to succeed. Let me tell you two stories. The first story is of a celebration on the birth of a little Bonnie boy in the farmer's home in Machilapatnam in Andhra Pradesh. That celebration turned sour when they discovered that the boy is blind. So Srikant's family ignored well-intentioned advice from people and family and friends saying that abandon the child, it's going to be a curse. But they decided to fight on. They fought numerous battles, including a legal battle to get him admission into the science stream in college, because they said, no, he can't be taken for science, although he's got 98%. They won a court case and he was able to do it. He was hoping to join IIT like all of you. Unfortunately, not a single coaching class would give him admission. But Srikant is not going to be cowed down by this kind of failure. So he set aside higher. He applied to MIT. And MIT admitted him. When he graduated from MIT in Boston, he came back to India, set up a factory to make recycled craft from recycled paper, and also disposable plates from leaves. He's got 5 factories in Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, Andhra and Telangana, and he employs about 500 people. He has a revenue of more than 100 crores. 5 factories where some of the 500 people are also disabled people. So he's an inspiration for all people with disabilities. He's an inspiration for people with all the abilities. Imagine he was born in 1991. At 2024, a movie is being made about him called Srikant, I think it's called. So Srikant Bola is the founder of Bolant Industries. A child born in 1991 blind in both eyes. He becomes an industrialist at 2015 at the age of 24. And there's a biopic on him in 2024. Isn't that success? How many people with all faculties in place have been able to do that? But this has come because of a tremendous desire, determination to succeed. It's there, that fire inside. I've been denied sight, but I'm not going to let it pull me down. Another story. There's a little girl born to an impoverished Black family in Tennessee, USA. So Wilma was the 7th child. At the age of 6, she got polio, after which she moved around wearing calipers. She could barely walk, so playing games with her friends was ruled out. One day, her mother saw tears rolling down her cheeks as she stood by the window looking at children play. So mother asked her, why are you crying, Wilma? So Wilma replied, I wish I could play too, and sobbed even more loudly. Her mother's reply changed Wilma's life forever. The mother said, if you really, really, really want to play with other children, you'll be able to. And Wilma really, really wanted. So she decided to do it. She stepped out and tried playing with her friends from that day onwards with calipers on. A month later, she took part in the school athletics race without calipers. She obviously fell down in that 50-meter race after 4 steps. And the crowd laughed at her. You know how small children can be. Sometimes they can be cruel, they're innocent. But she got up and continued. Next year, the year after next, 10-year-old Velma was even more determined now. By the age of 14, she was the school athletics champion, not just taking part in races. She was the school athletics champion, winning many, many races. She trained hard because a famous coach from the University of Tennessee had scouted her and identified her as a prospect, trained her, hoping to get her into the university under the sports quota, which she did. And by the age of 16, she ran for the USA at the 1956 Melbourne Olympics, where she picked up a bronze. At the age of 20, she came back stronger and more determined at the 1960 Rome Olympics. There, Wilma Rudolph became the first American woman to win 3 golds at the same Olympics. From a weeping cripple at the age of 10, she was declared the fastest woman on earth at the age of 20. Now, come, how can you beat that? Now, what disabilities do we have as entrepreneurs or would-be entrepreneurs or professionals wanting to rise up the C level in companies? We don't have any. All that we have, probably have or not have, is that strong desire to succeed. So ask yourself what really prevents any IIT graduate from achieving greatness. Do you really want to succeed, or will you search for excuses when faced with adversity? When your inner self is committed to becoming something, you end up visualizing yourself in that desired situation. And when you ask yourself, what does it take for me to become that thing which I can imagine? Now, there's a saying, what you cannot imagine, you cannot become. So try imagining. I don't know whether you've heard of a Ranji Trophy cricketer named Milind Rege. He once told me that he was a very good friend of Sunil Gavaskar. He was in Melbourne on a holiday, and he called up Sunil Gavaskar when the Indian team was playing in Australia, touring Australia, and they were in Melbourne. So he called up Sunil Gavaskar and he said, Milind, what are you doing? Because Milind was his Ranji Trophy captain earlier. He said, I'm living in, saying, you come and stay with me in my room. At 5 o'clock in the morning, Milind got disturbed. He said that this guy was standing with a cricket bat and playing the same stroke over and over again, 50, 60 times. So afterwards, he asked asked him, Sunil, what are you doing? He said, I got out to that ball yesterday. I should never, ever get out to that ball. So I was perfecting my stroke. So it was not excellent coaching that made Sunil Gavaskar what it is, what he became, but it is his determination to become perfect or become very good. So when you do that, it creates self-belief. And when there's self-belief, others around you see you, your employees, your seniors, your peers, everyone can see, here's a person, girl or boy, who has tremendous self-belief, and that self-belief comes from somewhere, of that desire to succeed and knowing that you can. Okay, so that is one aspect. You really, really must want to succeed, only then you'll succeed. The second thing is even more important. You need friends. So let me tell you another story. Having lived so many years, as I said, I'm nearly 76. I've come across so many things in life, so many friends, so many clients, so many associates. There are plenty of stories. So here's another story. A few years after India liberalized the economy, a British investment bank was looking for a volunteer to open an office in India. John was the only one to put up his hand. By the way, a job in India was considered to be a punishment posting back then. He was junior and not clear about what he's supposed to do. So the boss told him that you have to go in 15 days to Mumbai. And every 2 days, this guy would try to contact the boss's secretary to get the job description and KRAs. And the boss said, okay, I'll let you know. And 2 days before he was departing, or a day before he was departing, he was given an envelope, which is sealed, and he was told not to open it till he reaches Mumbai. So John comes to Mumbai, then opens the envelope, and is shocked to see only two words. The two words were, make friends. John, whose life revolved around deals and weekly and monthly targets, could not believe what the note said. He called up London to check whether it's a joke or a mistake. He said, no, this is what you're going to do. You cannot sell anything. Just go make friends. For the next 1 year, he was just talking to people in the Mumbai's financial sector, companies, CFOs of companies, and giving free advice. Anything that anyone wanted to know, he used to give free advice to. He used to meet people, but sell nothing. A year later, London told him, now you can start selling. Now, just what happened? There was an eager, long list of people who were willing to buy his services because he gave them when they needed it. And, it's investment banking, very similar services at very similar prices, very similar capabilities. The brand names are different. So, but this made a huge difference. Friends. He had friends all over. The type of clients he wanted, he could get. So eminently successful. So you too need to make friends. It means that you'll have to consciously build your emotional quotient and your social quotient. IQ can't take you far enough. So friends will hold you up when an ill wind blows at you. They'll be there to call you when there's an opportunity which they hear about. So don't just show up at work, execute work, and go home. Make friends. I don't mean networking, that matlabi type of thing, when you just exchange cards at every cocktail party. Go make genuine friends, because that's going to make a difference to you in life. 10 years from now, 5 years from now, 20 years from now, that's going to help you. It'll stand you in great stead. Your EQ and social quotient, that SQ, are very important. The third point I want to make is give more than you take. Just close your eyes and think of 3 people whom you like very much. Now think of 3 people who you dislike very much. So, in life I hope you've thought about 3 names who you like very much, 3 names you dislike very much and very much. Okay? Forget about the people in between. In life, there's a lot of give and take. Broadly, there are 2 types of people. One type just takes much more than they give. The other type gives much more than they take. Now think of the 6 people who you had in your mind, and shouldn't be surprised if you find that those who are net givers are the 3 people whom you liked very much. The net takers are the ones you don't like. So it should become clear to you that if you want to succeed in life, you have to become a net giver. Keep giving. Don't give so that that person will give you back some other day. You give somebody, that person gives somebody else, that somebody else will give up, and then universe will conspire to give you something when you need, not from the same person. So I'm just saying that even when there's a job cut happening, the senior bosses will say, no, 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 I can't let this guy go. We'll let us send him for training in AI or whatever it is, so that he's with us or she's with us. Others can go. So I'm just saying that give more than you take. Fourth is knowing how to ask the right questions is an important capability, even more so in the future. Listen carefully, because I'm saying before the advent of GenAI, having the ability to remember or know the answer was very important. People would get away with just that capability in the middle management level. As a strategy consultant, I serve CEOs, chairmen, and other CXOs in many parts of the world. My job is to solve strategic problems which they find difficult to solve. What sets these successful people who I serve from most people who get stuck in the middle level is that these guys know to ask the most relevant questions in any situation, whereas those guys who get stuck in the middle level lack that skill of asking questions. Now, with GenAI coming in, and with GenAI getting better and better, it'll know the answer to any question you ask. Okay? You ask a question, it'll give you an answer. If you want a more better answer, you'll refine the question in the prompt box. Okay? So answers are easy to get. No problem. So if you're a answer person, your time is up. If you're a question person, you got a lot of hope, because people don't know how to ask questions. Majority of people don't know. And how does one learn how to ask questions if one has not done enough so far? The platform for questions is curiosity. Be curious about everything you see. Why is it like this? Why does it happen that way? Why is the sky blue? Why is somebody doing this way? Why can't it be done another way? Curiosity. So if you decide you're going to be curious from tomorrow or from today, you'll know how to ask questions. The Indian education system kills curiosity and kills asking questions at a very early age. It encourages rote learning of answers to questions set by teachers, and most schools teachers cut marks for answers which are not exactly as per the answers given in the notes. So most of us recall how we were admonished by teachers for asking too many questions also. So we've all become passive listeners, but that's not going to help us. In my field of strategy, when we recruit, we always test the skill of a candidate to think and ask the right questions when they encounter a problem. I'll give an example, for instance. Have I got time?
Yes, you do. There are no
Okay.
questions as of now, so you continue,
Okay.
please. Yeah.
Okay. So I'll give an example of a question which I've asked. How many barbers do we require for cutting a gents' hair in Mumbai? And the guy says, look, I've come for a job in a strategy consulting company. What question are they asking? So they get stuck. The right candidate will know that he has to answer. If he has to answer the question, he has to estimate the number of haircuts per year taken by men in Mumbai, and then divided by approximately the number of haircuts a single barber can perform in a year. Of course, there's much more data required. Thus, he gets the numerator, gets the denominator, and he estimates how many barbers are required. But the problem is, you'll be surprised by the number of people who can't even get started when I ask that question, or similar questions. Some give totally random answers. It's as if that it was not part of their syllabus, which they learned by rote. Clearly, a good candidate a candidate who can start saying, okay, I can take this, divide by that, he's a candidate who we want. There are some foolish fellows who even ask me, okay, is the population of Mumbai 1 million? I say, oh my God, this guy has never been curious to find out what's population Mumbai. We don't need such people. So curiosity is what is important. So if you're not curious enough, or you suppress your curiosity, let it go. One way to succeed is to always be curious. And the fifth point, the last point is, the world always wanted multidimensional people and will want such people even more in the future. I'm just conscious that I held my fingers like this, almost like Trump. I won't do this. Donald Trump does this, no?
Yeah, cool.
So they will tell you, if you're meant to be a multidimensional, at birth, we're all multidimensional. You ask your parents, they'll tell you that they thought you're absolute genius when you were at 2 years old, or when you're 5 years old, when you're 9 years old. The kind of things you could do, sing, draw, jump around, play, ask very intelligent questions, recite poetry without feeling shy. And you did so many creative things. But then you became a victim of this stupid education system, school system, which was started in England in the 18th century. It was designed to create workers with uniform capabilities for their factories. The factories in the late 18th century were the greatest thing mankind had seen back then. So education system was created for that. We still follow that education system in school. Even the IT industry, for instance, it takes smart engineering students, whether they're civil or mechanical or electrical or metallurgical or whether they're in computer science, and dumb them down into coders. They had to forget everything they studied till then and just write code. So our school system was somewhat like that. Our school system was much worse. You were even penalized if you wrote answers in a better way than the teacher did in notes. So you had to perforce switch off some dimensions of your personality. And then when you went to your coaching classes for the JEE, we switched off all the switches except the ones who are doing well in JEE. Fortunately, in IIT, you got a chance to turn back some switches. And many students did it. And those people have succeeded in life. The list of truly multi-dimensional IIT Bombay graduates is very long. Every one of them succeeded in their own way, but these multi-dimensional people. Let me give a few examples. You would have heard about Viral Acharya, the RBI governor. There was a event a couple of months ago. I'd met him earlier, but when I was the president of the IMC Chamber of Commerce, I'd attended some meetings at RBI, but I didn't know much about him till I heard this Gyan at the interview, that session, IIT Bombay Alumni Association event. So he's a computer science gold medalist from IIT Bombay. He went to USA for further studies, got bored with computer science, and completed his PhD in macroeconomics. Now he's an eminent professor in the US. He also started a rock band in the US, which raised money for charities. While he was in IIT, he was involved in drama and music and all kinds of things. So he was not just a gold medalist. Then there was you're familiar with VMCC. So that's after due to the donation by Victor Menezes. Victor Menezes and another person in the same year, they're both 1 year senior to me at IIT. They were India's best debaters. Every single debating championship in India was won by first prize Atul Tandon, second prize Victor Menezes, or first prize Victor Menezes, second prize Atul Tandon. It was like a monopoly for a few years. Victor Menezes retired as the global vice chairman of Citigroup. Atul Tandon was a very successful manager at Hindustan Lever, and then he became an educator. So I'm just saying there are so many such people, and inside you, there are switches which you shut off. Go switch them back, because you will become successful, you'll become flexible. Your mind will open up to all kinds of changes in the world, and then you'll come out looking really smelling good. Now, I know that I've almost touched 40 minutes. So I'll stop here, although there are many more things I can tell you in the interest of time. And I want to give opportunity for people who want to ask questions rather than continue this monologue. So over you two guys.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Raj, and also thanks a lot for mentioning about the course on AI that we do. In fact, I am the one who is coordinating that course of AI at
Oh, really?
ITBA. Yeah, yeah. So if someone among you would love to take a course on AI, Gen AI, probably stay tuned for the next one.
Yeah,
We send out the
I went
emails.
to Silicon Valley in October 23 to learn AI.
Ah, great,
Because
fantastic.
my
So,
current work involves that.
yeah.
Although I'm chairman of the
Okay.
companies, I've given up responsibility for top line, middle line, bottom line,
Uh,
whatever. And I lead
yeah.
the innovation groups in each of these companies. And we have developed so many SLMs and very exciting things. And our clients are just blown away by the kind of things that can be done
Oh,
in management
fantastic.
consultancy, in insights, in customer service, using AI.
Oh,
So I'm a
fantastic, fantastic.
convert.
So there are only I see a few questions. So I do have a couple of questions, but first I'll take from the chat. So I see a question, in fact, two questions from Harsh. So first one is, with the level of change in the world, entrepreneurs face near death and actual death situations, as you have described. How do entrepreneurs need to think about grit and keep on going? So this is his first question.
Yeah, okay. See, you're going to come, especially in the first 3-4 years, to near-death experiences. You're right. Not everybody, but maybe 1 in 5 will face that. Okay? Because they say that, I mean, statistics, only 10% or 12% of all the startups see the fourth year. Rest of them die. So startups dying or getting merged into something else, etc., is normal. But yeah, near death or actual death experience happen. So how do you deal with this? See, the point is, first of all, transparency. Okay. If you're transparent with your investors and keep highlighting every single problem or anticipated problem, suddenly the investors will take you under their wings and start telling you what to do or helping, and they become part of the problem and therefore part of the solution. And they have money. So and then they'll bring in experts from here and there to help you. But if you keep quiet about this, then there's a problem. And they'll say, you didn't tell me. It's not that you were told lies, but you never told me there's a problem. You saw it coming 6 months ago, but you didn't you kept quiet. If you had told us 4 months ago, we could have found a solution. That's exactly what happened in this case of the medtech company. Just kept quiet. They did one more mistake. So that they prevent too much dilution, they always raise just the right amount of money required and hope that when the money is getting over, or 3 months before it's getting over, they'll raise more money. This time also, I told them, look, you're sailing too close to the wind. It's not a good thing. You should rather have a little less equity than have 100% equity or 80% equity of a zero value company, which was a dead company. Okay. And that's what they did. They're riding high one morning, and next day the plug was pulled, no more money. They could just pay salaries and wind up the company. So the most important thing is to be transparent. Obviously, as an entrepreneur, you'll be anticipating. So I don't want to tell you that you need to anticipate, because every entrepreneur is looking forward, predicting, forecasting, all that. But transparency is the thing. The other thing I told you is that you need to have friends all over. When you have a lot of friends, you'll be able to discuss with them. They'll share their problems with you, you'll share their problems, and they'll say they'll find some solution for you. They'll bring a white knight for you to solve the problem, or they'll bring in some experts to solve the problem. So I, along with a couple of 2017 batch IIT graduates, we set up a company to manufacture foldable bicycles. The first full-size foldable bikes in the world. So what we did is we said we will not take money, just like that, from anyone, but we will take money only from people who are experts in some field. So we identified 10 areas where we need expertise and picked up Mr. X, Ms. Y, Mr. X, Mr. Y, Mr. Z, and approached them. In 1 week, we got funded. No investment banker. But the condition of taking money was that these guys can talk to them at least once a quarter on what they see as the likely future and what problems they're expecting and what great things they're expecting, and get the views of these people. So somebody was a celebrity, somebody is a celebrity manager, somebody is a top industrialist, one is a supply chain expert, one is an analytics expert, one is a distribution expert. So even if you hired people, you wouldn't get people of that caliber. And I don't want to mention names because they're best names in the industry. When these are your friends, how can you fail? So it actually goes to the second part of your question: how do you network? Don't network for the sake of networking. Go make friends. Give. Be part of the community. And they see you as a giver, of someone who's doing things for other people. And you will find a whole lot of people waiting to give you.
Okay, there is another question from Vrishali, and she's asking how to assimilate multiple data points while developing strategy. So 5 year versus 1 year, and she runs a water conservation
Sorry.
startup.
So can you explain that question a bit more?
So Vrishali, probably if you would explain the question a bit more would be helpful. So probably her question is around developing some kind of strategies using long year data points, 5 years versus 1 year. I think that's what she wants to ask.
So let's divide this into two questions. One is, there's so many data points. How do you figure out what's relevant? Is that right? If you can unmute her, she can ask the question herself.
Yeah, let me do that.
Hello.
Yeah,
Yeah. Hello, sir. So my question is from the perspective of, so I run a water conservation startup, so which used to be probably NGO kind of work, but then we started this as a social enterprise. It's a for-profit business, and then we've developed expertise in, say, we started on a bigger scale, say on an integrated water management. Two parts could be fresh water and a wastewater, but we stuck to fresh water. And in fresh water, we looked at the surface water and a groundwater. And now we are honing more onto the groundwater and finding the connection with surface water. So as we progress, we are going deeper, which is a good thing, developing expertise. But when we are developing the business strategy, we are certainly seeing trends in the market. So my question was, when you are developing a strategy and when there are multiple data points, there is so much noise coming from the market. How do you look at it from, say, 1 year perspective and a 5 year perspective? You kind of started answering already about relevance, and that helps me in, say, 1 year, short term, near term. For long term, I'm still, I know that what is going to be the need. I'm not really going to listen to the market as much. But right now, in a short term, the relevance matters a lot.
Okay, so I'll divide this into two parts. One
Okay.
is the multiple data points, some of which are distractors, some of which are relevant. And the other part is going to say, how do you develop a 1 year plan and a 5 year plan? The strategic plan. Okay. So one of the problems that have always existed in analysis is if you start with a lot of data points, you can be all over the place. You'll do a lot of analysis and end up figuring out which one to look at. And you'll make a lot of assumptions after that. Instead, if you start the other way around and say, look, you develop a hypothesis. In a hypothesis, you have, I think I'm happy to explain offline also. In a hypothesis, in a test hypothesis, a hypothesis is divided into things like this. There is going to be a great demand for surface water if and at such and such a price if A, B, C, D, E conditions are fulfilled. Okay. Now, if this A, B, C, and D are mutually exclusive conditions. Now you have to say, look, now I have to prove that condition A exists, condition B exists, C and D and E exist. So you say, look, what analysis can I do to prove or disprove that A exists? Then say, what data do I need to do that? Look at that. So you'll be looking at only those data points which are relevant to answering the question whether that condition A exists or does not exist. So out of the hundreds of data points that are available, you'll probably use 15 or 20% of the data. Out of the numerous types of analysis that you can do, you'll do only the analysis required to prove or disprove A, prove or disprove B, prove or disprove C, E, D, and E. And thus you'll know whether the hypothesis is correct. So this is applicable whether you're doing short-term or long-term. Now let's look at short-term and long-term separately. If you're doing a short-term forecast, in any case, you have to do a forecast. Okay. Today, it is very difficult to do a long-term forecast except in fields like what you're doing. In your field, it makes sense. But in many other fields, today, when we do strategy, we say, let's talk about 3 years and not 5 years and 10 years. Okay. In your particular field, you know that groundwater has got depleted in almost all parts of the country. You know that in our country, the biggest source of water usage is agriculture. A lot of agriculture, industry uses hardly 15-20%. Human consumption is even less. You will be able to actually logically break the tree down to figure out which customer are you trying to serve. Are you trying to solve the problem of farmers? Are you trying to solve the problem of drinking water, or are you talking to the industry? So if you're pretty clear who's your client, your customer, then you'll choose the right track and go down. So now if you're talking a farmer, you'll have to say, look, in which region and which crop are you going to look at? Depending on that, you'll find a solution. It can't be an omnibus solution. Okay. Now, since I don't know the specifics of what you're doing, my answer is a bit generic. But I would start with a 5-year strategic plan and figure out what needs to be done in the first year to achieve that, what needs to be done in the second year to achieve this, because what will happen in the 5 years is not going to happen because you did something in the 5th year. Each year you'll have to do something, because some things take 3 years to do, some things take 1 year to do. So you'll have to probably slice this whole period into trees and also see which is your target sector. Now, if you're not in this business and you're trying to solve the water shortage business, there's a different problem to solve. For instance, we are trying to distribute or let's say ration the limited amount of water that we've got. You know, we use only 3% of the water resources in the world. 97% we don't touch. So if you had a lot of money, let's say if you got a $200 million, I would suggest something else. Thinking out of the box and figuring out how to use even 1% of the remaining 97%. by investing on new membrane technology, which will reduce the cost of membranes for desalination by 50%. You suddenly have double the amount of water available in the world. But that's not your problem. So I'm quite happy to discuss it offline.
Yeah. Thanks, Raj. So we are almost in time. Would you like to continue maybe another 5 or 10 minutes, or should we
So
be ending
I'm
here?
sort of I'm surprised that
I
nobody.
see there are 2 questions.
Okay.
There are two more questions. Yeah.
Okay.
So if you would allow me, we can continue for another 5-10 minutes, or if you want to end your your other thing. Yeah. So one, you can be short in your answer probably. So there is one question: what are the fundamental differences between successful CXO versus successful entrepreneur? So what are these asking this question?
Yeah, actually, a successful CXO today is expected to be a success, to actually behave and act like a successful, like an entrepreneur. He is very likely to lose his job if not like an entrepreneur. So we recruit, many of us sit on panels for selecting CXO level. We're not recruitment agents. Okay. We don't run a recruitment business. But because we're developing strategies, we're also invited sometimes to sit in the panel to select CXOs. And we're looking for certain qualities. You'll be surprised that at the CXO level, we're looking for people who are thinking like entrepreneurs, because they're the ones who can take the company up. See, even if it's a family managed business, today they want professionals at the CXO level who will think like them, like entrepreneurs. Okay. And as an entrepreneur, anyway, you have to do that. So gone are the days like 15, 20 years ago, where CXO was a highly paid manager who had a lot of knowledge and experience. Today, the CXO is an entrepreneur. And you actually give him incentives with ESOPs to behave even more like an entrepreneur and to reward him if he performs like an entrepreneur. So at that level, there's no difference. He's playing with public money. Today's entrepreneur also is using public money. Yesterday's entrepreneur had his own little savings and he managed it. But today's entrepreneur is using public money. And when I say public money, even private equity money is public money in that sense. It's some LPS put money. Okay, it's not your own money. So there's not much difference. That's a point you've got to recognize, which is why I said, let me not have this topic on how to succeed as an entrepreneur, but how to succeed. It is purposely done this way. I'm very surprised nobody asked me, how can you succeed when there's so much competition? It's become very, very competitive. Honestly, because it was not so competitive when I started out. If you had a degree from IIT and from IIM Ahmedabad, people are just waiting for you. And first 5-6 years, you just coasted. Today, the competition is very severe. So I was very surprised that nobody said, how does one succeed when there's so much competition? And my answer to that would be 2 things. First of all, look for places or look for things where change is rapid and uncertainty is high. You're smart enough to figure out how to deal with uncertainty. So there'll not be much competition there. The second thing is, and this will come as a surprise, be absolutely honest in everything you do. I'm just saying that I have never paid a 50 paisa bribe. I know nobody will take a 50 paisa bribe today, but I'm just saying I've not paid a 50 paisa bribe in my life. Never fudged accounts of my company's books. Paid 100% taxes. I can sleep at night. I can go and meet any top industrialist and we'll get a job or get a contract or get an investment in a company. No problem. There is no competition in the area of honesty. Zero competition. So if you mold yourself into someone who is totally transparent, totally honest, and work in an area where there is change, a lot of uncertainty, and you figure out how to deal with it, it's a comfortable area. Honestly, I'm not talking theoretically.
No, great. Thanks for pointing that out. Probably I would have come to at some point of time, because in management field we call a VUCA word. VUCA is the word that we use. So volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous word. And in this word, how to succeed is, it's a challenge. A lot of management professors teach it, but they are more, their learnings are more academically inclined. They are coming from research papers. Someone like you is the one who can, find out how to succeed from more of a management perspective or real life perspective. So just, a couple of more minutes, I see one more question, which I think you can only answer probably because it's coming from your experience. So there's a popular saying, Naveen is asking this question, by the way, he has been attending most of the TEG sessions. So he's asking this question. There's a popular saying, success requires sacrifices, which is obviously, makes sense. We all hear that. So what's have been your mantra for work-life balance? Because this is another thing in the corporate world about work-life balance. So did you ever struggle with this dilemma of maintaining, balance in work life and at the same time doing so many things?
I was enjoying what I was doing. So whether it was working hard or partying hard, it just fell into place. I've never had a year when I worked less than 10 hours a day. Okay. And some of the biggest business ideas come on the box when I'm sitting on the potty. And it probably happens to you also. I'm just saying that, so all the while you're constantly thinking of this, constantly thinking of where to, the next party or the next mountain to climb or the next adventure. So it all blends. It's not like this compartment pushing the other compartment or this balloon expanding and squeezing the other thing out. It's all blending in. Then there's no tension. At least that is my case. I don't know. I can't generalize.
All right. Thanks. So
I want to emphasize that be brutally honest, even if it puts you to shame. Because wherever you go, people never think twice once you've said something. They would not think over your shoulder and said, could it be true? Could it be not true? Just get by. Whether it's your subordinate or your seniors or associates or whatever it is, 100% transparency never got you into trouble. It's only when you hide a little bit or just varnish some facts and say, I'm still giving a fact, but slightly blurred. People don't appreciate that. Work-life
Thanks a
balance
lot,
has
Raj.
never been a
So
problem.
this is the last question from Manisha. She was the participant in the course which we had just ended in August. So she is asking, how does an entrepreneur attract large corporations to collaborate? When you have you are a startup with great idea, probably great idea means great idea from her side, with no business experience. That's what her question is.
See, for instance, if someone with no business experience has got a great startup idea, the chances are that that person has a lot to learn over the next few years while wading through this entrepreneurship journey. So if, for instance, someone else who's looking at the person, look at Manisha, for instance, sees that here's the person who's willing to learn, has no ego issue about her position in that company which she started. She doesn't mind being a technical director or this thing, doesn't insist on being a CEO, etc. Then the willingness to learn, willingness to change is become clear. Now, for instance, when many of us do a lot of startup investments, I've only done 18 investments, but I've looked at about 450 companies so far. The first thing I look for is the entrepreneur. Does the person look like an honest person? Does the person look like someone who's going to fall down, get up, try again, and so on and so forth? Or is it a person who will run away the first sign of failure comes? By having 2 or 3 discussions, but gets a feel of this person. It's not yet the idea. When you pass that, then you look at the next thing, say, what's this business idea? We never ask for a business plan. But entrepreneurs come with Excel sheets with TAM and BAM and CRAM and all kinds of curves created to show what's the addressable market. They talk about a global addressable market of 14 billion, but want to do a 2 crore revenue. But what's the relevance of all those numbers? We don't look at Excel sheets also. Let's understand the founder. what he or she is bringing to the table, whether this will fly. Then you see, okay, is there a good opportunity here in the business? If we support her, will she be able to succeed? If the answer is yes, then if you put in money, will this company grow? And is this the person who can take it there? If we feel that this is not the person who can take it there, we ask the person, look, it's all well. Next 1 year, you take it to a certain level, but there's a lot of learning you've got to do. Are you willing to have a CEO to whom you'll be reporting, who will increase your learning? What you learn in 10 years, you'll learn in 2 years under that person. And then the person goes and you become CEO. Are you willing for that? I've seen so many people saying, yes, can you find us somebody like that from whom I can learn? Then we have no problem putting in money. So I'm saying that the way we treat startups is totally different from the way we talk a company which is already 4 years into the business and earning, say, $3-4 million revenue. Completely different animal. These are.
All right, Raj, thanks a lot. We have just 10 minutes above the time, and I'll be ending it now. If anyone has more questions, probably, we already put his LinkedIn profile, while we send out emailers, you can get in touch with him or write an email to him. If you are, you have startup, you're looking forward to investments, and you are an ITB alumni, and if you are in the ITB SIG group or ITBA group, probably you can get in touch with him anyway. So he is approachable. If you have an idea, that's what my essence is, Raj, right? That's true. If somebody has an idea, they can approach you or not.
For guidance, yes. Not necessarily
Yeah, okay,
investment.
good.
Because
Yeah,
investment is done carefully. But we look at it
yeah,
from
exactly.
a investment point of view. But then we have to see, does that particular startup deserve investment?
Yeah.
In spite of
So a lot of
we make mistakes. We make a lot of mistakes.
So a lot of alumni do reach out to me to reach out to someone like you to join as a board member in their startup or something like that. So for
Advisory
that,
is not board member.
yeah, so board advisory board or something in the startup. So yeah, so we are coming up with that mentorship page as well very soon that I'll share with you. But anyway, it was a fantastic gyan to begin with, and then sort of a master class to end with, coming from hard facts from your life, but also a couple of really nice examples. And thank you everyone here who joined on a Tuesday. Usually we have it on Saturdays, but because of operational constraints from both the ends, we had to do it on a Tuesday. But still, you were able to join, so thanks a lot. I think probably you are really passionate, so the journey has started for you. I guess so. Yeah, Raj. So you would have any final words for the participants?
Yeah, I just want to apologize to all those who are putting questions, because I was constantly listening to what's being talked. So I have not been reading. So I missed some questions or comments. My apologies to them if I missed. No intentional ignorance. I've not ignored anybody intentionally.
No, but they can still reach out to you for some kind of mentorship, right?
I can see Ron Mehta. Ron's a good friend. Hi, Ron.
Okay. Yeah. So would you like me to unmute? Let me try. Yeah, probably the problem is because if we keep the video and audio on, sometimes it's an issue. So you are saying Ron Mehta.
Ruyington Mehta.
Check his. What is his name?
Ruyington, Ruyington. I can see his name. I can see Yadav.
Probably he was in the chat, but because I don't still see him. Yeah, probably he left. Yeah, but anyways, thanks a lot for your time.
Bye.